Okay, everyone. So I want to welcome everyone to Monday Whispers Chat. Um, so Bridging the Gap Wellness is all about being able to create holistic life and finding balance. And each week during Monday Whispers Chat, we feature an amazing and inspiring woman. So this week, we're actually interviewing Tammy Marie, and she's going to talk about empowering yourself. So Tammy is a mental health warrior. She has struggled with her mental health for many years, and now she wants to support. She wants to support others. Oh, my thing broke. So she wants to support others and empower them in their recovery. So I was trying to figure out what OT stood for, and it's like OT hers. What does that mean? So the way that it actually shows up on Zoom, it has supports OT hers, and I'm like, what is that? What's that supposed to mean? So now I got it. So wants to support others and empower them in their recovery. So welcome, Tammy. So is there anything more that you want to be able to share about yourself?
Well, just to further the mental health warrior, my day job, I work as a mental health peer support worker. So a peer support is persons with lived experience. And so I kind of I sum it up in a short sentence, been there, done that, so I understand what it's like to have the struggles with mental health, you know, being in the hospital, sort of the different settings. So I feel I'm a good fit for that empowering people and helping people.
Awesome. That's great. So how long have you been a peer support worker?
I've been a peer support worker for just about 2.5 years now.
Okay, nice.
And because it's quite a process, because they don't hire often, so it took me about a year and a bit to get all the credentials put in place. There's not a lot of them, but the programs aren't offered often. So
Okay. So so what is it? So tell me a little bit about what it is that you do. So obviously you support people that have mental health issues. So what else what do you do specifically when you're actually looking to support people?
Just the message of recovery. It is possible, and recovery is different for everybody. Like there's no cookie cutter way of presenting recovery, right? And that's the nice thing about it, is what works for one might not work for the other.
Yep.
But and the message of hope for recovery, right? So it's important, because when we're not well mentally, sometimes we've lost that hope.
Yep.
Right? So just to give a little bit of hope to people is kind of my goal, right? And you kind of see it in their face, like, oh, there is normal life, right? So I don't like the word normal, but there is some normalcy to life, right, in recovery.
And that part of finding that normal, that normal for yourself is like really, really important. And I like the fact that you actually pointed that out, right? So what's normal for you may not necessarily be normal for someone else, but it allows you to be able to see that there's some sort of, and a lot of people that have had mental health issues, they've had a different, like they've not necessarily always had those symptoms. Right?
Yeah.
Or at least that's been my experience. Like not everybody, like some were born and right from the beginning have had mental health issues, but for a lot of people, that's not necessarily the case. Is that something that you find?
Yeah. I'm overall, like, I look at mental health. I have a very holistic approach, and my approach doesn't kind of mesh with the system.
Yeah.
So I have to find when I have that holistic approach, I have to find that balance, because there is some resistance in the system of the holistic approach, right? They don't, not that they don't agree with it, they just think it's medication, right? Based, right? So that's where I struggle with myself in the system, so like working in the system, because I have a real holistic approach. So but it's just everybody's different. Like that's all I can say is everybody's different, and they're like, and no cookie cutter. So you have to kind of like be really listen to people and just be there to listen to them.
Yep.
And then you can find where they're at, right? And I meet people right where they're at. If they're in a psychosis, I meet them within that with them.
Yep.
Right. Because that's where they are right now. Why would I want to change that for them? Because that's what they right now, that's their normal. Right?
Yeah.
So it's meeting people where they're at. Yeah.
So now you're talking about the that you take a holistic approach. What does that look like that's different than not taking a holistic approach?
I'm for myself, I'll just speak for myself on my own journey of my mental wellness. Is the last 10 years I've worked on, for me, holistically means no medication and everything natural. Like I've done the natural supplements and everything like that, mindfulness training, like just a lot of work within myself, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I've taken it. That's my journey of the holistic approach, right? Is just trying to maintain it without any medication, because it's such a medication driven thing. Yep. Right? So
and sometimes we need to have that medication, right?
Oh,
so
yes.
for some people, just for anybody that is watching, just making sure that people are understanding that although Tammy's been fortunate not to have to take medication that she's been able to use, but in some cases, for some people, it's not necessarily, you can still be doing the holistic approach as well as the using medications, but just so that somebody doesn't just say, okay, well, I'm going to go off my medication.
I'm saying that because I don't advocate for not taking medications either, right? It's its own journey in itself, right?
Absolutely. And sometimes it's that just needing to be able to take that small edge in terms of medication, because that's something that I know that for some people is that they take the medication on a temporary basis while they actually get stabilized, and then they start to wean off and make some lifestyle changes to be able to support themselves. And so I just want to acknowledge a couple of people that are on. So I want to say hi to Danielle, and Fran is tuning in, and what she says is, this is the first time that I tune in, and it's nice to hear others are that are like me. So that is really nice to hear, Fran, that this is a perfect time for you to be tuning in then, because the topics are different every week. And so this is Tammy's journey that she's actually going to be sharing with us over this Monday Whispers chat. So awesome. If you have any questions or if you have any feedback, then we will keep coming back to the questions or the comments. So definitely glad that you're actually here. So thanks, Fran. So what are some of the, so you're talking about not taking medications. Is there anything else that you do in terms of using holistic approaches with mental health?
I'm very self-aware. Like I'm really in tune and just really in tune with my body, because I understand, like I've learned in the process of learning how to distinguish, and like I said, once again, I'll say a disclaimer that this is my journey, and I know that I get the difference between the brain chemical depression and the situational depression, right? So, and I've done a lot of work on that part of my life, like within myself. So that to me was the biggest curve in it, right? That allowed me to understand the difference and acknowledge them, right? Because there's the internal and external factors that we have, right? So learning to understand where they're coming from. right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really, really important for us to be able to. And I like the way that you actually talked about that you are in tune with your own body. And so when you actually get to that point where you can actually tune in to where those emotions are coming up and where is that coming up in your body, and how to be able to tune into that. So my history is I've had anxiety from a young age. So I understand exactly what it is that you're saying in terms of being able to tune in. And I've had depression, severe depression over the years, depending on the situations and whatever it is that's going on, and have had to use the medication and all depends on where things are at with me and what's happening. But I've learned to be able to recognize when I need to have that medication, and I'm able to, and I have a very supportive doctor that allows me to be able to go on and come off wherever it is that I need, however it is that I need to be able to do that. But one of the things that I try really hard not to do is take medication. So I try and use some mindfulness practices, or being able to do some meditation and different kinds of meditation. So what's your favorite tool that you actually use in terms of being able to maintain your mental health?
My favorite, you mentioned meditation, is my most favorite, and then most recently, I always for a while there was fighting it because my monkey brain wouldn't shut down, right? Because I was like, but then I just broke it down to smaller increments of time to meditate, right? Yep. And like when I first started, it was like, oh, you have to think about an hour, put an hour away, and I was like, my monkey brain can't even shut down for like 2 minutes, right? So
yeah.
Like, you want me to do another 58 of them? Right? I've managed to now in my daily practice 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night.
Nice.
And that just is the right amount, right? And it allows me to reflect, set my intentions in the morning and reflect on them in the evening, so I can just have that balance, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And I love the way that you actually pointed that out, right? So it is that it is those smaller increments. It doesn't have to be that full 60 minutes. I can't meditate for a full 60 minutes and just sit still. Like that is not the way that my body is made up. That is not the way that I actually function. I cannot sit and meditate. And I teach meditation and I work with people with meditation, and I can't sit still for 60 minutes. Some people can, and that's wonderful. If I'm doing quiet 60 minutes, I'm going to be going to sleep. So, and because that's one of the things that in terms of my own practice that I actually do meditation leading into sleep with the intent that I'm actually clearing my mind and getting my body set with slow respiration so that I can actually go to sleep. That is that's my intent with bedtime. And so with the I do a lot of journaling. So I'm not sure, do you use journaling as part of your
I do journaling. I've had to read it, refocus it, and not really label it journaling. Just for my own personal reasons, is such a writing all the time. So now I'll call it journaling, but I attach tarot to it and the oracle cards because they give me prompts and stuff to help me, right? Because writing has been a struggle because I could talk. I got the gift of gab, but for me to write my thoughts down is really difficult. So with the tarot and oracle cards I use, they're my prompts, and so yeah.
And that's really good. It's good to be able to have that prompt. So Fran says, I can do 60 minutes and sometimes I do more. Yay, Fran!
Yay!
So
I admire people who do it, right? It's like that's a really special thing that people have, right? And it should be celebrated because some of us don't got that.
Yep. Right? And like I said, I can't. That is not something that I can typically do. I can stay quiet now. One of the things that I can do is stay quiet. But my mind doesn't stay quiet. My mind has tons of ideas, which is one of the reasons why I do the journaling, because then I can actually release whatever it is that's going on in my brain, and I don't try and make it make sense. It's just whatever, from mind to paper, like that's all that I do. In terms of that. And sometimes I go back and read it, sometimes I don't. It all kind of depends on what it is that actually came up for me. And so that is something that is, that's something that's really helpful. I really like using moving meditation. So I can actually move my body while I'm actually meditating, while dancing to music. So while I'm moving to music, and that is something that has been really helpful for me, because like I said, to be able to just sit there and go, that's not me. And I do go to yoga, but they're for short periods. Like you're in a yoga class for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. So you're not meditating that entire time. You're moving into different positions, that kind of thing. But I use a meditation called chakra dance, and that is something that allows me to be able to move with the energy of the music. I use other kinds of music as well to be able to tap into some meditating, but it's not necessarily just sitting quiet and doing nothing, but it still allows me to be able to clear my mind, clear my energies, clear my body. And so that's something else that I find really helpful. So Fran says lots and lots of training for the brain. It is lots of training for the brain, and it's being able to catch those thoughts that just allow them to run away, right? So every spring I find something that helps me reconnect with myself, because I hibernate for the winter as much as possible. I was telling Tammy how much snow that we actually have here in northeastern Ontario. It's the most that I've seen in I don't know how many years. And so if I don't have to go outside, I'm not going outside. And so I stay very much inside as much as possible. So when spring is starting to come around, then I tend to find something that I actually can do to be able to connect with myself, to reconnect with myself in terms of being out and doing stuff. And so I'm taking a 6-week mindfulness workshop for 6 weeks that hopefully I'll be able to pick up some new tips and some new tricks on how to be able to be more mindful in my daily practice. So that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to. Is there something else that you do, Tammy?
I love walking. I'm a walker. I walk sometimes up to 20,000 steps a day. So walking for me is that it's that movement, and that's alone time, right? That I can
Yep.
Unwind, de-stress, kind of thing during the day, like over the day, right? So I enjoy walking. We have this beautiful park here close to me that it's beautiful. So it's like the trees kind of cascade. They make a tunnel.
Nice.
So it's nice just to walk through there and just connect with nature. I love nature. I like being outside in nature, and if I could, I would be out there all the time if it was warm enough. So, yeah, just a lot of nature, like sitting in the grass and just grounding myself, and just even that just to me is meditative, like sitting
Yep.
with bare feet in the grass, and especially this time of year, because it's that transition from winter to spring, and there's more daylight, and the sun makes people happy.
It does.
So, yeah.
It does. It definitely makes people happy. It helps to release those endorphins, eh? So, and one of the things that I really loved is that you actually talked about putting your feet in the grass. And that's something that I'm so missing right now, and so envious of you.
Well, it's been, like I said, we just had a streak of warm. They're saying rain tonight, but that's irrelevant. But it's like, I'm looking forward to those nice, good spring days that you can just sit in the park and take my shoes and socks off and just wiggle my toes, right? So
yeah, So, and they have, there's a lot of studies about that, and they call it earthing. And so there's lots of studies about being able to connect with the earth to be able to really fully ground. And so when we refer to grounding, like how would you describe grounding to somebody, Tammy?
I describe it as just like, because describe because sometimes I feel flighty, I feel like elevated,
Yeah.
right? And I just want to like come back to earth and just come to like kind of like not mellow out, like zone out, but just bring myself down enough that my thoughts are not so fast.
Yeah.
I find that grounding is one of the things I can do for myself and in that way. And then I just describe when I say to my friends and stuff, what does it mean? It's just kind of like building my roots again, right? Bringing myself back down to put my roots back in the ground, and so I'm not so wishy-washy, flighty, right? So
do you do guided meditation when you do any kind of meditation, Tammy? Like what kind of meditation do you use?
I just like the music. I find I already have enough chitter chatter. I don't need someone else chatting with me because I find that because I can get myself to a point, and I find that sometimes their tones of voices change, and it can startle me, right? Like because I'm really in that spot that I like to be, and then all of a sudden I hear this voice, and they have their tone just raises a bit. I like, and it just snaps me out of that mindset that I'm at. So I don't do guided meditations that much.
Okay.
But overall, I just listen to music, the megahertz music and stuff like that on YouTube. Just find a good one.
Yep. And finding one that actually resonates for you, right? Yeah. So, because that's one of the things that I have some different people, different friends who absolutely love the crystal bowl. I can actually do the crystal bowl meditations now. But when I first started with them, they were just screeching sounds that just drove me insane. And so, but I also have a friend that has hearing aids, and so she can't do the singing bowl because it just really, it's like chalk on a, scratching your nails on a chalkboard, right? So it all kind of depends. And so being able to find something that actually works for you, and being able to recognize that that doing having somebody else talking in your ear is not going to be helpful to be able to get you to stay calm or stay relaxed. And so that's like really cool that you have that you're able to pick that up, right? So and so Fran says sunlight for winter, and then she says oops, sun lamps. So using the so you definitely using sun lamps for the winter is especially, I'm not sure in terms of how much sun that you guys get, Tammy, out west, but us in northeastern Ontario, it is really dark. It's we have lots of a lot of darkness for a long time, and it seems as though like we wake up to start our day and we end to start our day in the dark. And so like by supper time, everything's like really dark. So like now it's still, because it's 7:30 here now and we still have daylight, and it's like, yay. So it's actually really nice.
Well, we get like rain, like months and months of rain, and it's always gray, right?
Okay.
So that's the sun lamps, those special lights are really helpful.
Yeah. So, and the other thing that Fran says is the vibration of the bowls are soothing. So you are one of the ones that actually are able to do that, which is amazing, right? So that is, so can you do the crystal bowls, Tammy, in terms of your meditation?
I've been doing little bits at a time because I really like them, but long periods of them, it gets a little too intense. So I've been just doing the short little, let's get my ears adjusted to that sound.
Yep.
Right. And but I recently too been listening to drumming.
I love drumming.
Yeah. So I had the opportunity last summer to make a drum, so I have my own drum. So it's like,
Nice.
yeah. So I was like pretty happy with that, but I'm not. I'll play it for little bits at a time because I'm not knowledge. But I don't. I feel it. I don't have to be have that knowledge. It's just whatever resonates.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, and that is exactly what it is. Unless of course you're singing like a specific song,
yeah.
To do with the beat of the drum, but it is very much the resonating of the drum is definitely that. That is being able to. I find the drums are extremely grounding. Like that is for me being able to hear the drums. That really connects me to being able to, because like you said, being able to do that flighty thing, right? So I'm in my head a lot, and so like I'm in there, so I have to find ways of being able to bring myself down and out of my head and into my body. Like that is something that I've had to learn to be able to do, because the monkey mind does its own thing, and it's not even necessarily the monkey mind in terms of, because the anxiety monkey mind will take over, but then the ideas monkey mind will take over too. So I've got two of them that are actually going on and sometimes having a battle. And so just being able to really find a way of being able to kind of bring myself back into the now is always really helpful. So Fran also says, and I can't pronounce it, so I'm going to pronounce it wrong. So binaural sounds.
Yeah.
So that is my French takes over with some of these words, and I'm like, how do you say that?
And the certain megahertz and stuff of the music, right?
Yeah.
I find that really resonates a lot with me.
Yeah.
Right. So because I have fibromyalgia and chronic pain, so I find those binaural notes really help with that.
Oh, okay.
Because of the vibration that it's sending through my body, and I find some of them really soothing, and it's not a distraction, but it helps me not be the primary focus on the pain. Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'll have to let some of my clients know that have the chronic pain, that's specific to do with the that specific sound, to see if that will actually help them. That's actually really good to know. So Fran, I know that you've been giving us some feedback, which is amazing. Is there anything that that you do that you'd like to be able to share? So I know that you've actually kind of chimed in on our conversation, but is there something that you would actually be able to do? So the monk's Om chanting is her favorite. Oh.
Yeah, that's a really, and Tina Turner has a good one too. She has a chant that she does too, and it's really nice sounding. So
that's really cool. So I'll have to I'll have to try and see if I can find that one from Tina Turner. So it's just the one that she has?
Yeah, it has I can't remember it. I don't have it written down in front of me, but it's a Buddhist chant, right? So it's and yeah.
Okay, I'm writing that one down.
Yeah, it's just something different if you really just want something completely other side of yeah.
Because one of the other things that I do, so like there's like the meditative music, so like there's all these other kinds of music, but I also like just the upbeat music, right? So just being able to dance, and like just sometimes like I don't pay attention to the words of the songs most of the time, if it's an upbeat song, and sometimes when you actually stop and listen to the words, it's kind of like, oh, this is not a very good song in terms of the language or the words that are coming out, but it's like, I love the beat, right? So I love being able to just kind of get into that. So journaling, meditation, healing circle, and Tina Turner is amazing. So apparently Fran knows this song, so I'm gonna have to really take a look. I'm gonna see if I can find it and post it on here and see for other people that might be curious as well. So I'll do that.
And I've currently started working with crystals and stuff like that too, because I'm a Reiki practitioner too in the same hand. So I've done a lot of Reiki on myself and with crystals and stuff like that. So I really enjoy that. I have a crystals put them in my bra and stuff. So it's like, and I went out on Saturday night to a concert and I forgot to put stuff, wear crystals, and I noticed the big difference. Like I use a lot of protection ones because of other people's energy.
Yeah.
So, because I'm really empathic, so it's
well, and and my husband would laugh if he was actually listening. I don't know if he's watching the hockey game, so I know for sure he's not watching. But he laughs whenever I tell him that I've it's like, just a minute, I have to take my stuff out of my bra. And he's like, what are you doing sticking stuff in your bra? How is that comfortable? I'm like, I don't know, it just is. So so I get that. Just being able to stick those crystals in, obviously the smooth ones. So Fran has a lot of things in common. So Fran says that she's an empath on this end. She's a light worker, and music, of anything, is medicine for her soul.
Yes.
So I love the discussion that you're having with us, Fran. This is amazing. Thank you very much for sharing. I know that we've got another eyeball on, but they're actually quite quiet and not saying anything, but they've been on for quite a while. So if you would like to join in the conversation, we would love to have you join in the conversation. And for those of you catching the replay, #replay, let us know that you're on. I know that my friend Carol will be on at some point watching the replay, because she always is. And so she will definitely #replay. And but yeah, so like, that is amazing that that Fran's been able to jump on and have this this conversation with us.
Nice. Okay. Very nice.
So so Tammy, what are some of the other things that you can actually share about your experience? Like, what else can you share about how to be able to empower yourself? Because that's the theme, and you've talked about a lot of different ways of being able to do that. So what are some other messages or some other things that you think would be helpful for people to know?
And just be an advocate for yourself, because you know yourself the best, right? It's like the professionals, they're professionals, but we live with our body 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? So it's just being an advocate without being overly aggressive, and right, but just stand your ground with yourself, right? Because you know yourself the best. And that's my biggest thing. And I've only been in that position of being strong, an advocate for myself, in the last 2 years, and
nice.
It's been amazing experience, because I was always the one that I'll listen to the professionals because they're right, but then I'm like, well, it's kind of not working. Right? So there's that missing, and that missing piece is we have to trust ourselves too, right? and then advocate for that, because that is what's happening. That's what we need, right? Overall health, life, right? So we just have to advocate for ourselves and step up, right? And as difficult as it is, yes, I get it, right? But the more you do it, I think the better we get at it.
Yep.
Right. So, and you have. And my position on that is, do it with safe people first, like maybe a family member, maybe a friend, right? Test it out, and then get out of the comfort zone, right? So that's kind of.
And it's really important for you to be able to have that conversation with the professionals in your life. So whether it's your doctor or your mental health professional, or the nurse, or whoever it is that is actually working with you. So even in your case, right? So like, you are there being able to provide people support as a peer support person, but what works for you isn't necessarily going to work for everybody else, right? Yeah. So that's something that's also really important. Hey, Penny. So that's something else that's really important for us to be able to acknowledge. And so as a mental health professional, that's one of the things that is one of the things that I would actually let my clients know. And I still let my clients know, if something's not working for you, then let me know, because if it's not working for you, I'm going to give you suggestions based on information and the conversations that we're having. But there are so many other techniques that can be used. There are so many ways that you can actually use. And and like we've just tonight, like, right. So even with the conversation with Fran and the things that she's actually talked about, the things that you've talked about, there are so many ways of being able to try and get our mental health back into a level playing field, right? So that we can actually do what it is. And like you said, Tammy, being able to come off the medication for you and not be on medication is huge.
Yeah.
Right. And so for somebody else, that might be one of their goals.
Yeah.
Penny says, holiday Rollie, and she says, LOL, oh, I only said hi, Rollie, but autocorrect caught me. I know, I love that autocorrect. So, but yeah, like it's just really important for us to be able to find that even keel that works for us, that flow that works for us. Because like you said, like when I said journaling, you're like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Like I don't do that, right? So it's hard for me to be able to put my thoughts to paper, and that's okay. The other thing that you said is that you talk it through, right? So being able to talk your thoughts and your feelings is always really helpful. Being able to find shorter periods of being able to meditate. Whereas you've got Fran who can meditate for an hour and then some, right? So, which is amazing. There's a lot of different, and there's different ways of being able to meditate. There's different sounds that you can meditate to. There are different ways, there's different positions, there's a lot of different things that you can actually do in terms of of meditating.
Yeah,
And so
it's just making it work for yourself, right? Like like I couldn't meditate for 60 minutes, so I had to adjust it, find out what worked for me.
Yep.
Right? Because recovery is such a personal journey for each of us, right? It looks different, it feels different, the timeline's different, right? So it just adjust it to make it work for you, right?
Yep.
And if you don't like it, not necessarily, because I shrugged the meditation thing off, but then it was just sitting on the back burner, right? And I thought, I'm going to try it, but I'm just going to go for 5 minutes,
yep.
right? And then I built up to what really I could get a lot of benefit from was the 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night. So that's 30 minutes total, but it's not at one time, right?
Yep.
It's about, we have to set ourselves up for success, not failure with that whole, in our recovery, the recovery process, or even life in general.
Yeah.
Break it down to smaller steps. And so you're setting yourself up for success, not failure, right?
Yeah.
And that means take a smaller bite. Right?
And it does, right? So I love the expression, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Exactly, right? So you can't eat a whole elephant. It's not going to happen. Yeah. And so being able to do that. So one of the things that Penny says is that has been one of her biggest issues is pen to paper. She finds that a huge struggle. And so one of the things that we had said earlier, Penny, is being able to talk, right? So talking it out allows you to still be able to, and obviously you may not necessarily, like when you're journaling, you want to be able to just do that to yourself, but talking out loud when you're alone, right? So I go for a drive. So if I need to actually process things, because I do process things orally or like auditory. And so, so for me to be able to talk to somebody, sometimes I don't want them to know what my thoughts are, right? So I need to keep those thoughts to myself, but sometimes pen to paper is not going to be helpful. And I am a huge journaler. But sometimes I need to be able to think through what it is that's going on so that I can actually address an issue, or I can actually focus on something. So going for, like, because I have, there's 4 of us in our house, so it's not necessarily that helpful to be able to have a vocal conversation with myself in my bedroom while my husband and my kids are here, because they're like, okay, I think mom's gone crazy, right? So being able to go for a drive, the people who are seeing you have no idea if you're talking on your phone. They have no idea if you are, because like you've got the access of being able to do the hands-free conversations.
Yeah.
So they have no clue whether or not I'm talking to my telephone, or if I'm talking to myself, they have no clue. Walking down the street talking to myself, people might wonder a little bit, but I can do that for going for a drive, or going by a lake where there's no one, right? So just being able to kind of go into the bush or on a trail. You see somebody coming along, you can stop talking, right? So you don't need to keep talking. Putting earbuds in your ears. That's one of the things that because I had a client that said, well, what happens if I run into somebody on the trails? So then put your earphones on. And as far as they're concerned, as you're getting closer to them and they saw that you were talking, is that you're listening to music. So they wouldn't know that you weren't necessarily singing to the song. How are they going to know? Right? They couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
So,
it's just, we got to keep people on their toes too. Yeah. That's the way I look at life. It's like, should try it sometime, right?
Yep. And Penny says the same thing, right? So LOL, they can't tell if you're singing. Right? So, and you can't. And so there's a lot of different ways of being able to get those thoughts out. So like, even if you can't do the pen to paper, one of the things that I've used with my clients, some of my clients, is that they can't do the pen to paper, don't want to go for a drive, or not able to go for a drive and be able to have that conversation. So it's like record, right? Yeah. So record a conversation with yourself into your phone, into the computer, whatever it is that you need to do that allows you to be able to, because like, again, if you're an auditory processor, you need to be able to do that. And like I said, sometimes the thoughts that are in your head that need to come out are not thoughts that you want anybody else to know. Right? Yeah. So,
and that's what I found when I started doing YouTube lives, right? Not that I have a lot of followers, but it was just the fact that I could say it out loud, and you don't have to save it. You could delete it. Yep. Right? You could delete the video and it's gone, right? It's just the actual talking it out, or just, sharing something with someone, or just on the camera, right? It was just, that's kind of the way what I'm using it as. Now I have one loyal follower that the person has a conversation with me, right? And it doesn't matter, because all he knows is, he doesn't know me personally. So if I say something, it's like, he doesn't know, right, what I'm really talking about, right? It's just like my therapist through a camera, right?
Yeah.
So
and that's exactly it, is being able to find those therapies that actually work for you. And like we said, and Tammy and I both made that disclaimer, is that sometimes medication is definitely something that you need to be doing. But if you're wanting to use different natural remedies, is like making sure that there is no contraindication to the medications that you are taking. And again, because it all depends on what it is. And some of those medications, because sometimes I'll have people that are like, oh, I can't go on medication for my mental health. And it's like people are going to think that I'm crazy. But yet, if you were diabetic and you needed to take insulin, you would take it.
Yeah,
right.
And having this conversation, and that's another thing as I'm very passionate about mental health and erasing the stigma of mental health, and having these conversations about it, and openly and honestly, is what it's about, right? It's not let's keep it in the closet, don't tell anybody, right? Let's have this healthy conversation, right, about it, because it's important, because you never know who's listening, right? Yep. There might be on that decision making of, do I need to take it, or should I take it? I don't want to take it, right? And they hear a conversation that's healthy about it, then they make the decision, right? It helps them make that decision for themselves, right?
Yeah.
Well, I heard that, right? They talk about it, and there's no shame attached to it, or so.
And so Penny says side effects scare the living crap out of me. More. And some of the side effects, like one of the things that the drug companies have to do, so they do their studies when they're starting a medication, and I think this is really important for people to be able to know, is that and some of the side effects are really crap, and I will definitely say that for sure. But a lot of times when you actually take a medication, and it doesn't matter what the medication is for, whether it's for mental health or for diabetes or whatever it is. One of the things that when they're doing the testing is that if out of 100 people, one person has a symptom, they have to note that as one of the possible side effects. And so, so it could be 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 1,000,000 that have that side effect. And most of the time the doctors will say these are the most common side effects, but then when you get the medication, it's like you've got like 3 pages of list of side effects. But it's just really important for us to know, because I didn't know that. I always thought that, like, oh my gosh, like look at the list of medications. And until I learned that they legally, as soon as somebody has one symptom in the study, that they have no choice but to list that as a symptom. So whether it was related to the medication or not, it's still, if they didn't have that symptom prior to starting the medication, it is it's listed as one of the side effects.
And that goes back to being an advocate for yourself, right? It's like if you're on a new medication and you're experiencing the side effects, let your doctor know is I don't like these side effects. Is there something else I could try?
Yep.
Right? And the doctors, like I've had a good relationship with my doctor, so I can, when I was on it, I would be able to say that to her, and she would say, well, let's just tweak it a little bit, maybe reduce it, right? Have that dialogue and advocate for yourself, because it might be just a little less of a dose, whatever, a change, right?
Yep.
Sort of thing. Everything I've done has been doctor supervised, doctor monitored, right? Because that's what's needed, right? And I have a really good support system, in the sense of I have certain things when I'm well. I have certain things that I do every day, and when I'm not well, there's certain things that happen. And my husband is allowed to approach me when he recognizes those things, right? Yeah. So I have a really good communication with my team, my supporters, right? Because that's part of the journey of recovery, right? And doing it holistically, right? So, and that's just to have a good team and be an advocate for yourself and speak up, right?
Yeah, that's really, really important for us to be able to do, because if we don't, then no one else is going to be able to speak up for us.
Yeah.
Right. So no one else is going to be able to know. And I love the fact that your husband is part of your plan. Yeah. I forgot to plug in my laptop, and I just got a notification that my battery was dying. Sorry. So I definitely keep it real when I actually do these, don't I?
That's the nice thing about it. It's not like stiff serious. That's what I'm enjoying.
Because we're human, right? So there's a lot of different things. When I first started them, it was like I had a list of questions of like, okay, these are the things that we're going to talk about, and we're going to stay on track, and we're going to do all these things, and I couldn't even introduce myself. So now I don't even introduce myself. I just talk about Monday Whispers Chat, and I don't even tell anybody who I am, because obviously if you're following me, then you probably already know who I am anyway. So I don't, because I would stumble on who it is that I am and what it is that I would do. Like I sometimes couldn't even remember how to say my name. Like it was just really bad. So then I just kind of went like, okay, whatever. I want to be able to do these. I want to be able to share what it is that that other people are doing in their lives to be able to inspire other women. And so then I just like, okay, I don't care. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just doing whatever. It's like same as when I was reading your introduction, right? It's like I'm reading it going like, OT hers. What the heck is OT hers? Right? So apparently Zoom doesn't have a full sentence, doesn't know how to break up the sentence. So it's like, well, that didn't work so well. But it's just really important for us to be able to take those steps for ourselves and to be able to advocate for ourselves. And so are there any, and I love the fact that you actually do, because one of the other things that you had talked about was doing the walks and being able to connect. Is there anything else that that you can suggest? Being able to advocate for yourself is another huge one that you shared.
My biggest one is it's okay to have bad days. Like, they don't all have to be 10s, right? I allow myself and I embrace the fact that I'm having a lousy day, and it's okay. Because once you acknowledge it, it kind of takes the pressure off of everything has to be perfect all the time, right?
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, so what if you're having a crappy day? You're human, right? They can't be all butterflies, roses, unicorns, sprinkles, right? Because that gets kind of boring sometimes too. Like, the expectations are a little crazy for me, right? It's like I can't be always at a 10, right? So I think just giving ourselves permission to have bad days. As long as we don't live there, there's a difference of giving ourselves permission to have a bad day, but don't live there forever, or don't unpack. I like to say, I don't necessarily unpack. I just allow myself to be there.
Yeah.
Right. And once I start unpacking, then there's the start looking at something, but just giving myself permission that this is not a perfect day, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And so and there's nothing, so I don't have to work on it all the time. Like, that releases some of that, all because it's work every day, recovery's every day, but I sometimes just don't want to do it, right? And if it's a crappy day, then it's a crappy day, like, oh well, right? So.
Well, and like that's the same as the weather, right? So the weather it can't be nice all the time. We need to have rain, we need to have wind, we need to have, I would much not rather have the snow, but apparently I live in the wrong part of the world. So, so I need to live with it. But like we still need to be able to have those different kind of weathers. We need to have those different kinds of seasons. And life really is about that ebb and flow. Right. So you have those goods and you have those bads. It's like, it's never like, even in nature, like the ocean doesn't just all stay in one position, nice and full. It actually flows back, and then it comes back forward again, and it flows back. And that is the same as with our own life. And so I love the fact that you actually pointed that out, because that is so important for us to be able to remember that we don't have to do this perfectly. There is no perfect. And so, and most of us, a lot of us that struggle with mental health, is that because we struggled so hard for a long time, most of us, of being able to try and keep it in the closet and not let other people know that there was actually anything going on, that we have that challenge, right? So, so I love the fact that you actually shared that. I love the fact that that you're recognizing that and allowing other people to be able to recognize that. So thanks, Tammy.
Yeah, and I let people know. I let my husband know too that really not having a good day. So if I'm maybe snappy a little bit, and it's not my excuse, but it just lets him know that where I'm at too, right? Just to do that check-in and let him know, because he gets home from work and I'm crabby, right? It's like, it's not fair to him, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not having a good day. And if I want to talk about it, I'll talk about it. And if I don't, he doesn't pressure me to say anything, right? So it's just that having that, letting someone know, because then it, for me, it allows me not to live or unpack there, right?
Yeah.
So.
And that again is another really good strategy, right? So being able to like acknowledge that that's where it is that I'm at and where it is that I'm going, and this is where I'm struggling. And so really important for us to be able to do that as well. So, so I love the tips that you have. So is there anything else? Do you have any other little tidbits?
Not that are coming to mind. For myself, I challenge myself by stepping out of my comfort zone now, because I've always been quite not in the box, but because of my anxiety, I haven't really stepped out of that comfort zone. So now I've been stepping out of it and challenging myself in different aspects, right?
Yeah.
And because I now have a few different tools in my toolbox, so I could cope with that change, that challenge, right? So it's like, because we could have all the tools, but we need sometimes need to use them, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's stepping out of my comfort zone so I can put some of these tools that I have in my toolbox to work, right?
Yeah.
To take, see if they're working, right? Because they're just sitting there, right? So.
And that part there is really important, right? So stepping out of our comfort zone and not jumping over the cliff, right? So nobody's asking you to jump off the cliff. It's just taking those few steps to be able to step into something different and being able to experience something different. And like you said, using those tools, right? So picking up a couple of tools as you're actually about to step into that next step of what it is that's going on. And so, and that is huge. And as a peer support worker, that's one of the things that you probably encourage the people that you're supporting to be able to step out of that little bit of a comfort zone, and being able to model that makes all the difference in the world, right? So it helps others to be able to know that, okay, if Tammy can do it, then I can probably do it too. And like even today, right? So we had Fran that popped in, and the very first thing, and this is the first time that she's catching these Monday Whispers chat, and the first one that she hears is like, hey, I'm not alone. I'm a huge believer in there's all things in the universe for a reason. Like even when there's bad things happening, and I don't wish the bad things on anybody, but when those bad things are happening in our lives, that there are lessons for us to be able to learn. There are things, there are reasons. We may not necessarily understand it when we're there, but it might be that where we're going to be picking up that new tool, or where we're going to be learning to be able to be more empathetic to others, or like, who knows, right? So it's not just by chance that Fran showed up on today's live. It was because this is where she needed to be today. So I'm thankful that she actually joined us today.
And I think too, like acknowledging that you're having a bad day, stepping out of your comfort zone, and keeping it real, right? It's just like, it's keeping it real for me. It's like, because what you see is what you get, right? And I have this saying, and it sounds, when I say it out loud, it sounds harsh and callous, but it's not meant to sound that way, because I have this kind of affirmation saying is that your opinion of me is none of my business, right? So it allows me to be real, right? Because I don't have to. And when I first said that out loud, I'm like, ooh, that sounded really nasty. But it's not.
It's and it isn't.
Allowing me to be real. What you see is what you get, and if you don't like it, move along, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is like so important. Hey, Mimi. Fran says, true, you were the first thing on my Facebook when I opened it. Right? So what are the odds? Right? So she's never been to one of my Facebook lives. And here she is. She comes, scrolls around, and opens up her Facebook, and here we are. So that's awesome. So I'm really glad to see that and like I said, I'm a true believer. And Tammy, that saying that you have, the very first time that I heard that was probably a couple of months ago, and I'm like, hey, I like that, right? So especially for those of us who are people pleasers and want to make sure that everybody else is happy, and it's like, it doesn't matter what your opinion is. My opinion is what counts, and I need to be able to be okay with my opinion and not your opinion. And if I'm not liking what I'm seeing or what I'm feeling about myself, then I need to make those changes about myself, right? So that's great. So before we head out, is there anything else that you want to be able to say? Is there anything, any last bits of wisdom or anything else that you'd like to?
I just really think that just keep in mind that there's no cookie cutter way of recovery. It's all very individual, and that there's hope for recovery, whatever that looks like for that individual, right? It's like, and we are able to get there, right? And some days we don't see that, but it is there, right? And just keep on going, and it's there. It's actually bigger than you think it is. It's brighter.
Right? And And it's taking that one step forward, right? So exactly what it is that you said is that one step forward. And Penny says, you are where you're supposed to be. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And so, and it's so important for us to be okay with where we are and what it is that's going on, and to be able to live with those imperfections. And like I said, that is something that is sometimes really challenging for some of us that want everything to run exactly the way that that we expect them to. Like I used to be that I would have been like so embarrassed that I didn't plug in my phone and that I actually had to go underneath my desk to plug it in. And but it's like, it is what it is. If not, we would have actually had a disconnected live. So it's like, which one do you weigh, right? So
like it's just what you need to do at the moment, right? Yep. Like, you know, and then you just get to look at the beautiful sayings on your wall behind you while you're bending over under your desk, right? So.
Yeah, and I do. And one of the things that you said, and I know that I point this one out often for anybody that does watch my lives, is the one that's on my light. It says, and you probably can't see the whole thing. I'll put it up a little bit. So it says, if the plan doesn't work, change the plan, but never the goal, right? So if your plan isn't working, then just being able to make things change so that it actually works for you. And that's like super, super important for us to be able to do, is be okay with who we are in this moment. And I love that message that you shared. So thank you so much for joining me in today's conversation. And even still, like even when I'm actually talking about the whole things, is that I couldn't find one of my elastics. So one of the girls happened to be here the other day, and I have one of their elastics in my hair. So it's like, oh well. So but just being able to just keep it real and being normal, and that's as normal as we can be, right? So normal is our normal. And Fran lost connection, so she joined us, and she said, special people cross my path for specific reasons. And absolutely. And so thank you so much, Tammy, for sharing and being on today, and hope you come back and join us again another day. And I'm definitely going to sign up to your YouTube channel. And so Tammy's YouTube channel is in the description link, as well as how to be able to reach her through Facebook. So if you guys want to be able to reach her in any of those two ways, then I will. I'm definitely going to find you on YouTube. Okay. And definitely follow you. So really looking forward to that. And this live will be downloaded onto uploaded, I guess, technically onto to YouTube as well. So thank you for all of you who joined us, and I will catch you guys next week on Monday Whispers Chat.
Thank you.
So now I need to try and no, because I'm trying to use the two computers, because this is one of the things that I've actually been doing is trying to have two computers so that I can actually watch people's conversations as well as still having us live. So I'm getting better at this, but then I'm like, oh yeah, wrong mouse. I have to go to this mouse. So I'm going to stop the live stream now. So bye everybody.